Hi guys, welcome to the new Alex C. Jones racing video. I'm here to talk about the next stage after karting. So it was 2012 and I was just only 19 at that point, and yeah, I got to the, as I said in the last video, I was considering the next stages of what I wanted to do. And so the first thought was I need to get into something which is fairly cheap, and I wanted to get into something which quite a lot of people knew about. It was a tough ask though, because I did a bit of research and then found out the cost of everything, and even for low level it was wow. At that stage we were thinking, what could we honestly really do? And I went to Donington to have a look potentially at some Genesas with Academy Motorsport, and it was talked to Matt Nicol Jones's dad, and we had a little talk, and it was just like a need to see what we can do with the funding. And at that point, it was just, we thought it was just too much to go into for 2013. So I started looking at the 750, and we looked at all the championships, and I've potentially thought about the Clios, but when we thought we needed to get round to meeting, just to see what it was like. And when I saw the Clios, it was just like, they're really aggressive, and it's a championship where I thought I'm not going to do well in at all. And so we eventually saw a few other championships on that day, and what caught my attention was the Formula V at that point. I said to my dad, "Ooh, that looks interesting." And we thought, because we didn't really chat to many teams at that point, but we'd seen it about, we didn't know where it was straight away. But yeah, so we ended up going to the Formula V festival in 2012, and we had a look. We talked to Team O Sports, and went to the pits, introduced myself to a few people, but it was majority around the O Sport. Had a little seat fit in the car, found out fitted. It was easy. And then I started coming around to the end of 2012, and it was a bit like, all of a sudden, oh, I don't know if O Sport can do it. And then got confirmation to say they couldn't do it for that year. So it's more of a, so what do we do? And we ended up talking to AHS Motorsport. For anyone who doesn't know, AHS are probably the biggest team in Formula V at that point. They still are today, but they're the first point of contact for the series, not just from that year, but to the present day as well. They don't run as many cars as they used to, compared to in 2013. So we talked to Alan, and at that point he was running over 10 cars per round, and it was a lot. So we ended up talking to Alan, and it seemed to be good between what we could afford at that point. And so yeah, we thought, give it a go. We ended up going for a mini test session at Bransonthorpe, and I don't know many teams who can do this now, but yeah, it was an interesting test day from what I remember. But yeah, I enjoyed it massively, and yeah, from then on we decided to go for Formula V. And so entering Formula V was probably one of the best decisions we made for 2013. But in the end, we ended up doing a few rounds, and so I did Brands, and I also did Silverstone that year, and then we decided to finish off with the Brands Hatch Festival at the end of the year. And at that point, it was my first season of car racing, and as you would assume, I didn't set the world alight at all. I was near the back. I remember getting lapped at Brands, and I was thinking, what am I letting myself into? Honestly, I didn't really know what was going to happen. I also forgot I did do Pembury as well. And for anyone who knows Pembury, it wasn't as bad as it is now, but for facilities in 2013, they're not as good compared to a lot of the other tracks, because there's a small family who owns them, which I think still is the case. But yeah, so for that 2013 season, ended up doing those rounds, really enjoyed them. And then we realised at Pembury as well, it was wet, and I wasn't really near anyone at Brands. But then when Pembury came across, I ended up taking a few cars, and it was more of a trying to not make a mistake, trying to not to spin, and then I was just making mistakes in that first year. Unless you're a top talent coming from karting, you don't really seem to make many mistakes in your first year. And then if you're like a midfield karter compared to a low end karter, you're not really going to set the world alight, unfortunately. Because in cars particularly, you need that talent straight away to be at the front. Otherwise, you're not going to streamline yourself up the field view of motorsport in general. And so we knew that first season that I was going to be nowhere near the pace. And then we ended up going to the festival at Brands at the end of the year, and we thought to help myself along, because at that point I was starting to get to know a few of the guys in motorsport, particularly when Formula Renault was still going on at that point. And I found out that there's a driver called Michael Epps, who is one of the greatest coaches right now, helping in Formula 4 particularly, and Formula 3, and GP3, what it's called now. Anyway, Mike ended up doing Formula V all those years ago before I was in there, and I was talking to him, and we had a little chat to see what we could, if he could help me to the end of the year. But his calendar was a little bit busy at that point. And then I ended up meeting another good friend of mine at that point called Max Robinson. And Max, he was so good just to help me calm myself down and get quicker towards the end of that first year. I owe Max a lot for that year, because he really did help. And in the festival, I ended up getting my best result of 10th. And despite a clutch going in the qualifying session, I think it was, or race 1, I ended up getting a 10th in the final, and I was really happy with that. Chuffed. And it would definitely help my progress into 2014. But for the moment, we'll talk about Formula V in another video, because I just want to talk about the progress into Formula V. And then in the next video, we'll talk more about 2014 to the end of Formula V as a general. And then we'll eventually get into the Mazda and also some of the cars I managed to test myself. But yeah, hope you enjoy this one. Thanks for listening, guys.